Welcome to the Failure to Stop podcast channel, the number one channel where law enforcement and first responders go to be informed and entertained. And multiple times a week now, because all the newsy news is on our new channel, FAWKES News. Only thing here is first responder content. Speaking of which, we got Donut Shop Podcast in the chats. Had I known he was off today and was going to be sporting around on YouTube, he could have came on and helped me break this thing down. Listen, if you want to, Donut Shop, just, I don't know, we'll do it next time. But anytime you want to come on, Donut Shop, listen, go over and follow the Donut Shop Podcast. Go over and follow all the things on the Fox Media company that we have going on now. We have Donut Shop Podcast, Two Cops, One Donut. We've got Beyond the Barrel. We got Anti-Hero Podcast. So, anyway, go and follow all these. We're running as a big giant pack together now. If you missed out on our big live Shell Shock event where we were all there, we've got a lot more of these things coming too. Here's the old shirt there. Look at that thing. Boy, that was, you guys missed out. But we're doing some live shows all over the place this next year coming forward. That's our big thing to do, is these live bar takeovers, like the one that we did in Jacksonville, Florida, like the one we did in Kissimmee, Florida, like the one we did at Tactical Brewing Company in Orlando, Florida. If you're a first responder, if you are a law enforcement officer, if you are a veteran and you want to get down with like-minded individuals, well, this is the network for you, the Fox Media Group. Anyway, this is Failure to Stop podcast, which we do big case breakdowns and mostly just about everything for law enforcement. Some corrections stuff, some 911 dispatch stuff, but mostly just like in your face street cop bull, if you will. All right. Today's show brought to you by ghostbed.com/wolfpack and factormeals.com/wolfpack. Today we are covering the Elroy Clark case. It's a use of force out of Punta Gorda. I don't want to give too much away. But I have to break this one down. And I also, just getting ready for this show, somebody sent me another case and I watched that very similar to this one. So obviously there's some training points and some things that we should talk about as knuckle dragon street cops. So without further ado, Joshua, my producer, Deadleg Media, take it away, please.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on
Sunday. This is
Sunday.
about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
T-Bone, T-Bone, T-Bone. T-Bone in the live chat says, I caught a live today. Donut Shop says he's off on Fridays. Hey, yo. Single and ready to mingle on Friday. Just kidding. Anytime I get excited, I always throw out that I'm single. And my wife's like, why do you do that? Why is it every time you're off or you're excited, you're like single and ready to mingle? She's like, you're not single. And you're not very good at mingling either. So I don't know. I don't know why I do the things that I do. T-Bone says he has the flu. Hopefully get better. Folk around and find out says, oh, it's Loren. That guy, Ryan89, says Florida seems the place to be. A lot of cases come out of Florida. I don't know where this show would be without the great city of Florida, the great inner city of Florida, the great concrete jungle of Florida, mini Australia, as I call it. We're jumping into this case. If you guys will, right now, head over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Head over to FAWKES News, Fox News. We'll put a link up here for you in just a second. Trying to build that channel. I'd love to get that channel on the charts. This show has made it as far as, I think, like number 14 on the iTunes Top 100. It's been a couple of years since we were trending on the charts, but we've made it all the way into the top 15. I know that. And then we sat at like 26 for months. It was great. But I'd like to get the Fox News podcast on the charts trending. And what that means is you guys have to go and give it a 5-star rating and review. Listen to one or two of those newsy episodes. All of the news that used to be on Failure to Stop is now over on FAWKES News Podcast. And then this is coming all the way back to just first responder content. And yes, because we're pushing out the book, Pig Latin, a seriously funny true story. It is now up on Barnes and Nobles and on Amazon for the pre-sale. I'm not really pushing the book though. We don't start a big push for the book until February. This is only because we've sent out like 60 hardcover first edition books to book clubs and celebrities to have them rate and review it and have a place to leave a rate and review. So although I'm not like trying to sell the book right now, you can still buy it. You can still pre-sale it. I do have to get the Failure to Stop podcast ready to bring in all these new listeners, because I do talk about Failure to Stop podcast in the book. This is the #1 summer release for Simon Schuster. So one of the larger book deals that you can get, or like it's possible to get as a first-time author. That's all thanks to Nick Palmisano, my co-author, New York Times bestselling author of Scars and Stripes with Tim Kennedy. I'm also in his new series called Office Joe Show, which is a very funny comedy TV series that comes out this month in like 8 days. I think Veterans Day is when it comes out. And so I have to get Failure to Stop ready for that. And so I want to bring it all the way back to where it started, which was first responder content. Josh, good to see you this morning. I see that you were wearing the Donut Shop podcast hat. My children have already stole that hat from me. So mother lookers, it's so nice and crisp and clean. Those little bastards took it from me. It is such a clean looking hat. It's a hat you could almost golf in if you were a golfer.
Yeah.
I've got a Guerrilla Warfare Tactical hat on. This was also from the meetup, Guerrilla Warfare Tactical. It makes me feel tactical. And when I'm breaking down something like this today, I need to feel tactical. So big shout out to all the guys at Guerrilla Warfare Tactical. I'm going to be working a lot with those guys and Hal Arms, firearms guys. We also met them at the meetup. Will Cray says the DSP hat is freaking amazing. It really is. It's such a nice hat. Now, he's in the chats. Real quick, we're going to get into this breakdown. I don't want to take up too much of your time, especially you audio listeners on your way to work. You don't want to hear this. I get it. I know what you want, and I know what you're here for, and I'm going to give it to you. But I do have to entertain this live chat in the YouTubes. How much are those hats for sale, the DSP hats, the Donut Shop podcast hats? They are for sale.
They're $35 a piece. And
okay.
You DM
that is a nice hat, though.
It is a really nice hat. DM him.
Remember when $40 hat was a joke, and now it's like the norm?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, hats just cost that much. But that hat's got the like you could play tennis in it. I feel like you could play pickleball. It's got you could jog in it. It's that material. It's like a very joggy.
All jacked up this morning, but it's a really nice hat.
Yeah, there you go. That's a great view of it. And I love the blue strap on the back too, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I like that. It just looks clean with the pink. Yes, they are really quality hats. The patches, I need people to start making patches without the fucking Velcro on them, because, you know, in jiu-jitsu, and we're going to talk about jiu-jitsu today, in jiu-jitsu, you can put patches on your gis. I can't sew a heavy ass Velcro patch onto my gi. If anybody out there is making patches, you make a cloth one like the old days so I can sew one onto my gi. That would be fun to do. All right, let's jump into today's breakdown. Would you? Don't forget to go over and check out FAWKES News on Spotify and Apple Tunes and give them a 5-star rating and review, please. It is news that you want to see. Oh, that's the YouTube. You can go over and hit the subscribe on the YouTube as well. But the audio is where I want to make the charts. So go over to iTunes or Spotify. Give me a 5-star rating and review. Write me out, please. Let's break this whole thing down. Transy becoming Mike the Cop. Can't wait for Transy to be bold. That's not going to happen. Look at this head of hair. This hair is never thinned. I have to go and get my hair thinned. That's how thick my hair is. All right, Lawrence says, DM him and he will fax you a form to fill out, then fax it back, and then he will send you an email to get your address and then mail him a check. Okay, fair. I like it. All right, we're going to do some more hanging out in the live chats after the breakdown. Let's get into this breakdown. Go ahead and start the video. Wait,
so
do you want to give the backstory? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give a little setup. So how we get here in the first place, 911 called that an individual was reporting he's having an issue with a tenant on his property and needs the police. So the police get there and they make contact with the RP. Well, what they find out is the RP actually has a warrant. And then the following is what happens.
I love responding to civil matters, and then they have a warrant, and then it becomes a legal matter.
Okay. I thought I could help him, but I can't. He's unstable. He's disturbing the peace.
So what happened today?
Peace must be maintained.
Is that your internet or is that the video?
I think it's the video
Today, sir.
and the way it recorded.
Hit
It's
stop
pretty
real
peaceful
quick.
right now.
See if he can catch up.
I told him he can't come.
Will it catch up? Hit play again.
Maybe because it's a little bit
That's all we're
longer.
worried about.
Just stay right here for me, please.
Give me like 5 seconds. I'll send you the link, and then you can screen share it for us.
Okay, we could try that. I'm not really good at screen sharing. It doesn't really work for me very often, but we'll try it.
Because you have audio. I never get audio when I do it. Oh, where's my case? Where's my case? Here we go.
Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry, apologize for that, everybody. That's on me. We were here. What's crazy is when we have, I sent it in the private chat, when we show up before this and we have like 3 minutes of prep time, those are some of the best shows. We've been sitting here talking to each other for like an hour and a half. So I've had this pre-recorded and ready to go.
Okay, let's see here. Which screen is it on? Screen 1, I reckon. No,
Whatever one you put it on.
let's see here. We'll put it on. I'm gonna have to put it on screen 2. Hold on 1 second. I apologize for you audio listeners out there that have to deal with this. But we'll get it in just a second. Here we go. I'm gonna try to do share screen right now, and we will go to screen 1, and we will allow it. Browser cannot access your screen. God damn it, Josh.
You want to try play it again?
No. I'm just gonna try this really fast. Present, share screen. Nope, it's not gonna let me do that either.
Yeah, let me I'll try to re-upload it here. Yeah, some of the people in the chat were saying that because there were a couple of different versions that were out there too. Because one that looked like it was someone sitting in an audience.
Oh wait, he said that he said he watched the whole thing. Is there upload? I had the same glitch.
You met this man a few months back.
Fast forward it, see if it. Oh, it's working now. Just let that play out.
We're about to go 10-15 on him. We're gonna have a
never
problem.
mind.
He's a sovereign
We're still gonna have the same
citizen
issue.
and, pretty big dude, so we could.
I'm not sure why it's giving us these issues this morning.
I mean, was it still doing it? That seemed fine to me.
It looked on my end like it was still stuttering.
Kind of make your way this way, please.
It looked like it was stopped
Oh yeah, you're right. It is.
and it just started to stutter again.
Hey, come here. Come here.
Just let it play out. Well,
Elroy.
That's not my name.
It is.
No, it's not.
It is. You got a warrant for your.
Do you know?
You got a warrant for your arrest.
Listen.
Let me see if I screen share this. Are you getting audio?
no.
No. Man, I apologize. I don't know why I did that. When it screen recorded this morning, it screen recorded every bit of it, and I played it back, and it played back fine. So I'm not sure if it's a StreamYard thing or why it didn't work like that. Let me see if I can work on trying to get the audio from this.
Okay, it says somebody says in the chats that it does that off and on in their video. So is that
Okay.
I mean, I don't remember seeing that though.
Yeah, when
Calm
I
down.
watched,
No one's commenting.
Don't listen to that man. Take off your glasses.
What is your name?
It's okay.
What's your name?
Take off. I told you, it's Ben Day.
It's not Ben Day.
All right. Well, here's what we're gonna do because it's an audio show anyway, and we can hear the audio. I'm gonna play this, and we'll just talk about it through the audio. So, yeah, Eric's gonna have a BJJ field day with this case, absolutely. But I also wanted to talk more about the verbal jujitsu in this case more than anything. So I'm gonna play it, and we'll get the link, and for you YouTubers, we'll put the link in the YouTube video to the actual video, and you guys can watch it better. But for our audio sake, our audio listeners' sake, let's just go ahead and play the audio, and we'll talk about it on the verbal jujitsu side of things. Let's hit it.
Man came and slammed my door. So he destroyed. Yes, that's destruction of property.
Where is he currently?
He's currently in my area that I allowed him to stay in
How long has he been staying here?
for a few months now.
Okay.
Is that him right
Yes, and he needs to be evaluated or looked at,
So
whatever you
the
got.
individual that we're talking to is the reporting party, but he's also going to end up being the person
has
with
no
the
weapons
warrant
on
as
him.
well.
And we can't even get the audio because it's glitching on the audio.
You have any weapons on you?
I am the weapon.
Okay. Do you have any guns on you?
I don't use
All
it.
right.
I am the weapon.
All right, I can't take it. I can't do this. I apologize. Listen, if you'll just jump out of here and screen record it for me. Try it again. Try to just screen record. Just don't do the whole thing. Just try to do it in pieces, and then that way we can salvage some of the show for you guys, audio listeners out there. I apologize, but I want to talk about verbal judo for just a moment. Listen, I worked out in Western North Carolina. I'm heading back out there, and so here's the thing with that. I ran into some guys out there, and they hit me back up, and they said, "Hey, do you put on a class? Do you put on a training course?" And I said, "A training course? You know, what do you mean by training course?" And they said that, listen, hey, the tactics, the verbal judo tactics, the way that you canvas, how do we teach our guys how to do that? And I think that's a kind of an interesting thing, because in law enforcement, especially now, law enforcement officers do not know how to talk to people. And you got to know, if you can talk to people, you will have so much less. Yes, I want jump in, Donut Shop Podcast. He says, I want to jump in, help save the show, save the day. Josh, if you'll send Donut Shop, what's your email address? I'll send you this link. We'll get Donut Shop in here. Let's go. Hey, Josh. It's Armory Night says, are we doing something for, if you Donut Shop, text me really fast. This is awesome. I love shows like this. Oh, he's just going to put it right out there for the whole world to see him. The whole world's going to see it right now. Donut Shop Podcast 2020 at gmail.com. All right. I'm going to invite you over right now. Let's see here. Gmail. Donut Shop. Let's see. Donut Shop Podcast 2020. Podcast 2020 at gmail.com. Oh, nice. All right, there we go. Just send it to you. This is going to be good. Listen, I know it sounds a little bit chaotic right now. We've had some production issues this morning, and I totally apologize, but it's all going to be saved, and it's all going to be worth it for you guys. So just hit that fast forward button, a couple of 30 seconds on the audio side, and you'll be able to pick right up on this very important topic. Obviously, it's a very important topic, because I really do feel like in this day and age that cops are terrible at talking to people, and it's all about that first impression when you're a police officer. And it's all about when you show up and you knock on the door, and it's all about that greeting. If you're demure, right? That's the term of 2024. Very demure. But how you present yourself at the door is how the rest of that interaction is going to go. And so if you portray yourself as a hard ass and that's the route you want to go, one, you better believe that you're a hard ass, and you better hope to God that you're so hard that the guy on the other side of the door believes that you're a hard ass. I find that very difficult to do unless you're big, like the guerrilla warfare guys. Those guys are massive. They're huge. Like they're both well over 6 feet tall. You can act badass when you're that big, and you can back it up, and people will probably listen to you. But if you're a normal sized human being and you try to act hard like that, 9 times out of 10, if you've got a combative subject, or you have a subject that thinks they are something special, there's a higher probability that you are going to have confrontation in that conversation. Now, here's Donut Shop Podcast, here to save the day. God, look at
What's
him.
up, everybody?
Hey, do we need to call in a larceny of sleeves? Did somebody steal your sleeves?
Dude, I'm literally just hanging out at home doing stuff at home, and
Bro,
I saw your
save the day, and I
story.
talk shit. Like, is that the most first responder thing?
Whatever, dude. You know, you got to keep the sleeves free. It's South Florida. You know how it is. It's hot.
How far away did this Elroy Clark case happen? How far is Punta Gorda from you?
It's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast over near Fort Lauderdale. So it's on the West Coast, between Fort Myers and Tampa is Punta Gorda.
Oh, really? Fort Myers? Oh, yeah, Fort Myers. Wow, Fort Myers and Tampa, there's a lot. Naples and everything
Naples
else.
is just south of Fort Myers. So yeah, it's in that like cluster right there.
Gotcha.
Just a bit south of Tampa. So
Okay.
yeah, I remember seeing parts of this video on social media and stuff, and it seems like a good one. But to your point, like what you're saying, the verbal judo and the way you approach people and stuff, be it professionalism or sometimes the approach I take sometimes is I might just be a little silly, kind of like how people are used to seeing you on some of these shows and stuff, and just to kind of catches people off guard, especially when like this guy's all, I'm the weapon, and it's like, all right, let's kind of bring it down a little bit, guy, and and sometimes work with him on
nothing
that.
escalates faster than calling somebody guy.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna call him guy. This is you and me talking.
But could you imagine? He's like, I'm the weapon, and you're like, calm down, guy. You're not that guy.
Yeah,
You're not that guy.
like that is 100% like ding, ding, ding. Like get ready for the fight. Like as soon as you say that to him,
Dude. But my kids
basically
say
inciting.
it. When my kids say it, like it makes me want to abuse them. Like the other day. No, yesterday, it was last night. I said they wanted to ride in the back of the truck for trick or treating. In the bed.
Hell yeah.
Very unsafe. Very, very Florida, actually.
Yeah,
even though we're in North Carolina. But like, so I was like, yo, get up, get back in the truck or whatever. And I put the truck into drive. And so it kind of lurches forward when you put it into drive. And he's like, yo, hold up, my guy. I haven't even got in yet. And I'm like, I'm about to come back there and beat some ass. You know what I mean? Like, I know he's 12 and he's acting 12, but like,
yeah, no. And the stuff that they pick up at school is hilarious. And it kind of goes to the point of like when officers are sitting there, somebody they're about to arrest and they're calling them bro. And I'm like, gee, we just stop calling these guys bros. Like they're not your bros. Like I'm not going to go have a beer with this dude. I mean, sometimes people I'd arrest, I might go have a beer with because they seem interesting, but just stop calling them bros, man. Like, like reserve that for a good name person or somebody that.
Yeah. And
that
then like a bro too,
with.
You always risk the, I'm not your bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you go from there? So when I talk about like verbal judo, what I talk about is like, especially with new officers, your demeanor is just as much. I always hated this. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, but that's so true. It's exactly how you say it. So if you show up on these scenes, like I said, if you want to take that hard ass approach, right? Like you're Billy Badass, A, you've got to believe that you're Billy Badass, and B, you better make sure that they believe that, or you're going to have a higher percentage, a higher chance of a confrontation going down. I like to take
having to back that up.
Approach. Exactly. So I think taking a humble approach to a lot of things, and I found this even in Western North Carolina, is that if you go and we worked a lot with park rangers, we worked a lot with local fire departments, law enforcement was very busy. And so like the stuff that normally a law enforcement would be doing, we were having to do because they were obviously, it's an apocalyptic event. So they have bigger fish to fry. And so going through this, watching the park rangers and things who are in a uniform knocking on the door, even that knock can be, it's a tone, it sets a tone. And so even, for me, what I was trying to portray out there in Western North Carolina is this very humble, I'm not the government and I'm here to help knock. So it's like like something cheeky, just a subtle knock. And then it's just nothing but humble. It's steepled fingers. Hey, how can I help you? What's going on today? Like, hey, is there anybody in here that needs some water? Do you need some of this? But like my tone is very empathetic. And I think that when you take these tones on a lot of cases, like when you show up and you're already annoyed, right? Because this is an annoying case. Is this not like, this is already just kind of piss you off when you get to, I'm not sure, like, I'm not going to be racist or anything, but Haitian black folks or African, like from African black folks, have a very different view on how the rules are supposed to work here. And I think that's like, they expect that like when a rule is broken and the cop believes that, then the cop's going to go and slap you around and make shit happen. And that's just not what we do.
Yeah.
And so they get very offended.
Misconceptions.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
There's misconceptions on what we are supposed to do, maybe what they see on TV, or just that we're consistently running around. And like you hear the guy at one point say, this guy needs a mental evaluation. That's another thing that I'm dealing with so much now on the road. And I tell people, like, our job isn't so much in progress crimes anymore, chasing bad guys, hand-to-hand drug deals and stuff like that. It's landlord tenant issues like this one, civil matters, basic customer service that we're having to do for businesses sometimes, because every Karen is pissed off about stuff. And then and then just these mental illness cases, and then bums, moving bums around, which also ties into the mental illness case. So like this guy says, hey, they need an evaluation. And a lot of times I'll come to these people like that guy and I'm be like, listen, we have a tight scope on what we're doing on this mental health evaluation that you're expecting us to do. Just because the guy's acting funky, like, it's not illegal. And remember, we're the ones that fight crime, not mental illness, and we're just here to help make sure that people are safe. And so it's, if they've got a mental breakdown going on, if they're not immediately going to hurt themselves or hurt someone else, or they've taken something or whatever, I'm like, there's a tight window of what we can do. Otherwise, we need to call in these, which we have it in my county, the mental health evaluators, that organization, which then they ultimately bounce it back to us and say, we need you to transport. But they have a broader scope that they're going to grab, or they're going to take this person's Fourth Amendment freedoms away and put them into a custody, 72-hour Baker Act hold. So, but this guy's seems like he's all over the place on like what he needs. And then you just look at that house, the size of that house. I'm just already, my spidey senses are going up on the situation. Like, that looks like a big mansion type home. And it's one of these, I rent a room out to some shitbag or something like that. And now I'm having a problem. So
yeah, that's the other thing too. It's like, who's paying for this house? But I don't know if it's for you guys, but I know that like dealing with Haitians and Africans from Africa is always really difficult here in Raleigh because of their police expectation and their expectation. One, that they think that you have to believe them, and that their truth is the only truth, right? So
Right.
a lot of times you'll meet with the complainant, they'll tell you what the problem is, and you're like, okay, well, let me go talk to her. Well, no, you don't need to talk to her. You already talked to me. And you're like,
Yeah.
I get it. And I heard you, but I also have to get, and it gets they can escalate things because they talk very loud, and they also talk very passionately. And I think as a cop, you have to, this is where that verbal judo, you actually have to be almost a purple belt or brown belt in verbal jujitsu to handle these kinds of characters. And if you're a rookie officer, it's very, very difficult to de-escalate once these foreign, and it's because they're so passionate, and I don't know why. I don't know what makes them so passionate about.
I think that they're not necessarily used to the amount of rights that both sides have in the United States. In their country, it's usually probably more like a dictatorship, even though they call it, a republic or something like that. And their law enforcement probably just has so much more power over them and a hold over them that, like you're saying, if I called you, like, I'm the right person, they're the wrong person, go beat them up, go throw them in jail. In South Florida, we've got a lot of Venezuelans and South Americans and stuff like that. And there's obviously reasons why they came to America, but they're still much more used to what their police can do in their country. So same sort of thing with Haiti. And Haiti's fallen apart for a lot of it. But we have a lot of Haitian and Jamaican in South Florida, two different types of cultures, but Caribbean in general. But I find myself trying to not raise up over their voices when they're loud. I start talking softer, a little more monotone, and so it causes them sometimes to quiet down and try to hear what I'm trying to say instead of yelling and screaming. Once in a while, you got to adapt and you got to yell over them. And
sometimes when you start with verbal judo, like sometimes if you like, I just watched this case and I would love to bring this case up. I'll probably cover it next Friday, but there's an officer that just the guy is on drugs, but he keeps yelling, I'm rich. Oh, you just made me rich. Oh, I'm rich because you fucked up, cop. And the cop can't get a word in otherwise. And he's like, I'm rich. And the cop is just like, okay, buddy. Okay. And I think it's sometimes you have to know when to be done with the soft tone. And so honestly, it's just like working with my children. Like, I have to know when I'm articulating something to them and I want them to understand what's going on. And there's other times where I just need them to chill the fuck out right now, or there's going to be massive consequences. And so here it is. Like, I either yell at you right now to get you to be quiet, or you're going to get a spanking. You'd much rather me yell first than just go straight to an ass whooping. And I think in law enforcement, we kind of have to do the same way, but it all starts with your tone and how you start. And so, for me, another example is in Western North Carolina, when I ran into these goon squads of FBI agents or Border Patrol guys with all their kit on. Again, this is a rescue relief operation. Not sure why they needed to be there with their long guns, 48 hours after a massive hurricane hit, and full kit and helmet and the whole 9 yards and the multicam. Like, it doesn't give you the feel that you're being rescued or relieved. And it doesn't feel very empathetic at all. And so while we're there with a search and rescue team and effort team, that when we show up and he sees it and what he said was, "What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing?" Like, that's how you're going to start your conversation. Just because you've got all that kit on and you've got a big giant gun doesn't give you the right to be a dick.
Yeah, or
You know what I mean?
authoritative in that type of, nobody needs really an authoritative tone in that rescue type situation, because it's not, it's crisis, but it's not like an active crisis. Now it's like recovery or,
Right.
assistance. So you need to come in with just hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Like,
hey guys, hey, we're working over here. We've got something going. Even if they had something legally going on, right? Like, they were maybe serving a high risk warrant. Can't imagine that they would be doing that in this time, but you still have to understand that there are rescue efforts going on, and you do have to use that tone, because now that guy has been my worst enemy. And like, let me catch Border Patrol out in Western North Carolina again, and I'm going to give them a hell of a time. And I gave these guys, I pulled out my camera and I took pictures of them because they escalated it in my mind. I'm here to help. I'm here to be their best friend. And, here's case in point, Western North Carolina ran them and the National Guard out because they came at it with a tone of authority. And I just don't think,
yeah, in
it's
my opinion,
tough.
if you're those guys, you see a crew of, seemingly able-bodied, intelligent individuals doing some work or doing something, you come up and you say, "Hey, what's going on, guys? Like, what are you working with? Is there any hand that we can lend? How can you help us? How can, no matter what your commanders have told you in that in that letter organization, that they may be pissed off at what they might consider rogue factions running around and trying to do the government's work. It's our work,
Right.
Be the boots on the ground and start with some empathy first. And then if you hear everything and you're like, nah, dude, you guys are definitely breaking the law. There's a no-fly zone or this or that, then start breaking it down. But try to get on the same level with
It's so funny because
a group.
when we did the body when we were doing this big recovery operation out there, we spent 72 hours, and we had a team of Green Berets on one side of the river, a team of Marine Corps Raiders on the other side. We had a total of 6 dogs, cadaver dogs, that we were, two would be working, 2 would be down, and resting, and we had this whole thing. We had helicopters flying over for us. We had 3 little birds running the river for us.
Awesome.
One with FLIR trying to pick up on heat signatures. It could even pick up on like a decomposing body, heat that gives off. We had a drone pilot. We had a $1 million drone that was being flown by an Air Force guy up and down the things as well. And so we had all these assets, and for 72 hours, we worked a 9-mile stretch from one end all the way down to the other end. And we brought the chaplain out to meet with the family and discuss the bodies that we did recover versus the ones we didn't recover. And then this fire department shows up from West Virginia, some volunteer or Virginia, a volunteer fire department, and they bring all of their equipment and they show up, and we noticed them going down there. We're already done. We're already packing up. We've already dropped off a Starlink to the family. We've already cut up all the trees down in their yard. We've done everything. We've been there for a week. And so we go down to this firefighter guys, and we say, "Hey guys, what's going on?" He was like, "Nothing. No, nothing. we've got some stuff that we got to take care of down here, and so we're just getting a feel out. We're doing a recon. Okay, are you guys here for body recovery? If you need to talk to my commander, he's over there, but I can't really discuss what we're here for. Oh, okay. Who's your commander? That guy over there? Oh, I'll go talk to him. I mean, I don't know what the big deal is here. So I go over there and he's like, yeah, who are you with? And, you know, and I was like, well, we're volunteers with this program. We've been here for a week. Okay. Well, we're doing a recovery, search and recovery here for some stuff. And so we've got it from here. We're going to be working this. And I'm like, oh, no, that's fine. No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and work it. Do you guys want to know where we picked up or something? No, we just want to start fresh. And it was just, the whole attitude was very a dickhead, you know. I will tell you that the team of guys I worked with were better trained and far more equipped than any of these guys from Virginia.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I did that as a public information officer. I went out to Fort Myers a couple of years ago after Hurricane Ian and worked with those fire team or those fire department teams and stuff. And that's, you know, like they've got a role to play and a job that they've got to do, but they need to communicate as well. And they need to, like, if you guys have already swept that area, why not try and pull the data from you guys to, at least if they need to double check your work. You know, it takes longer to do a search than if you already know what you're looking for. So it's like, all right, we can tag these areas as clear and go through them much faster and efficient because this civilian organization took care of it. But we need to, at least for our map purposes, check it off. But it's like, have that communication, drop some of the ego, drop some of the pride, and just say, all right, thank you very much for being out here. Hey, here's a card. Like, let's try and see if we can coordinate together so that you guys, if you're out in the field, can start bringing more information to us and relaying it to us.
We went as far as, like, we had strips of tape. So we had like neon pink, neon orange, and we had neon yellow. And so if a dog hit on a debris pile, and some of these debris piles were like 30 feet high.
Right.
Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe it's 20 feet high, but I mean, you're looking way up at this debris field. And so if our cadaver dog hit on that, and then you have to cut your way all the way down into it with chainsaws, and you're trying to move all this stuff. And then we recovered body parts, you know, a piece of clothing with the flesh attached to it, and things like that we bagged up and turned over and things like that. We would leave an indicator of, hey, a cadaver dog hit here and we made a recovery, but we didn't get like a full body recovery. And we would leave ourselves notes like that along the way. If you're the fire department and you're going back through, one, they didn't have dogs, and that was an impossible job without a cadaver dog.
Right.
But when you want to know that kind of information, like, hey, if you guys walk by a pile and you see a pink strip that we hung on the tree, big, long pink, that means we recovered parts of a body from that thing. And if you want to go and spend more time on it and move that more debris around, go ahead. That's a great spot to start. If you see orange, it means that the dog didn't hit on it, but we had an odor ourselves. And so we cleared that pile. And so we had these different things, and they got none of that information. And listen, those guys weren't equipped to, they didn't even know that once you get a mile down the river, that there is a ginormous cliff and a little waterfall that is going to be very difficult to maneuver. And we had already cut a trail across the creek all the way around. I mean, a very professional trail that you could get a 4-wheeler and a gator down to get all the way around the creek and then run that whole side of the creek. So we'd already done a lot of work in 72 hours. That all the guys had to do was a little bit of verbal jujitsu, talking for 10 minutes and learning what the person is telling you and assuming, and just, take it for what it is. Maybe you talk to the guy for 10 minutes and you realize he's batshit crazy. Maybe.
Right. Yeah. And then you work on it from there. And then now you kind of know what you're working with, and you know how to assess the situation. And like you were saying before about, different cultures, they don't realize, I'm going to go talk to the tenant. Like, I'm going to find out what the deal is with the tenant, because the tenant might say, hey, I think you're working back into this video case.
Dude, I don't know, because I haven't seen the whole video. I can't even work myself back in the video. I don't know how it plays out. Do you?
But yeah, for talking about it, for kind of working on that or tying this all back in with the verbal judo is, you're going to have to go talk to as a US law enforcement officer. We got to hear the other side of the story. That guy might, like the landlord guy might not present you with a actual like an agreement, but the renter might go, no, this is the agreement signed by that guy, and it says that I have this and this stipulation and all that kind of stuff. So,
God, dude, this
hey,
is such a civil matter. Do you even do like? What do you do when you get when they get a civil? I try to put my foot down early and say, guys, I try to be very transparent. Like, hey, guys, listen, there's very little I can do with civil matters, and so I'm going to be really upfront with you guys. I'm going to try to work with you and mediate you the best you can, but my hands are strapped when it comes to civil matters. There's a lot of things like I'm not getting involved in your contract. I'm not looking at your paperwork because it's none of my business. I can't, you know what I mean? I can't enforce your paperwork.
Wednesday, my last day on, right at the end of the shift, of course, I get one at the gas station, and it's a woman says that her mom went on Saturday, paid $45 cash. She has a receipt, but then she was forgetful and drove away. Civil matter, not my problem. Like, we can't waste resources trying to go through film at the gas station from 5 days ago, because this was the 30th and it was 5 days prior. So I go there and I go, listen, like you said, I'm going to be upfront with you. This is a civil matter. This is a problem you're going to have to deal with. Well, then she's like, well, I used to work for the state, and mind you, we're outside. She's got a mask on. It's 2024, but she's explaining all this stuff to me. I used to work for the state and they need a paper trail. And I go, all right. So instead of me arguing with her and like, getting some kind of complaint or whatever, I'm like, all right, I'll write you your little information report, which is basically just a notarized copy of your statement that you're giving me saying your mom did this and this and this. Cause I went into the business, and the clerk's like, look, my manager doesn't do anything for these kind of things because that's a way for a scam. That's how a lot of scams have been going through. Somebody goes and pays cash, they drive away. It just so happens their family member is the next person that goes and fills up, but then they come back with the receipt and they're like, I never got my gas. Look, you can check the video and see that I didn't pump the gas, so I need my $45 back. Meanwhile, their family member got $45 worth of gas, but they may not look the same or whatever, and you can't read license plates or something. And so that's how these gas stations were getting scammed for a long time. So the owners now are just like, yeah, you can fight it all you want. You can sue me for $45. Good luck. State of Florida, it's going to cost you over $200 to even file a lawsuit. So have a good day. Try not to be forgetful. So, I mean, that's
Right.
where, as a cop, we're like, yo, this is a civil matter. Please just chalk one up and, maybe work with your mom and make sure she uses a credit card instead of paying cash, because then maybe she can dispute the credit card, all that kind of stuff. So
Michael Hendricks says real civil matters or criminal matters that you don't want to deal with and thus deem civil matters. I'm pro 5 all day, but man, that is a pet peeve. I can see how some cops, you do get lazy and chalk things up, but I would say on the other end of that, there are a lot of issues, especially if you work in the inner city or if you work in a bigger city. There are people take advantage of 911 way too much, and they expect way too much out of 911. We have real cases to work. So, for me, for example, it's like, I would probably take 15 calls a day, 15 on a slow day. I mean, just on an average day. How about that? On a slow day, I could get a lot less, but on an average day, I could take 15 calls. Out of those 15 calls, 5 of those calls are going to be probably legit calls. And out of those 5, 3 are going to take some legit, like a lot of legwork. That's why I say like 12 hours isn't even enough for a shift for 3 of those cases. So that means the other 8 or 9 cases that you have left over are not, they're not bullshit cases, but they're cases that are important to you, but they're not important to me at all. You know what I mean? Right. In the grand scheme of things, like, I've got real fish to fry. I got people with real life issues, and you letting your friend borrow your car and your friend hasn't returned the car yet. And you know what I mean? Like, and it's not even your car. It's, your parents' car that you loaned out. Like, that isn't any of my business. And that sounds like you were just being a moron and doing dumb shit. So that's not really my problem. And I think that's where, like a lot I said, of cops,
the customer service, you're basically on some of these calls, customer service for people, either customer service for life or customer service for society, or we're showing up to these businesses because they're like, they didn't give me the correct change. Okay, well, how much change were you due? 35 cents. Okay, again, this is something you need to deal with the corporate entity that runs the Starbucks that you're complaining about, or whatever, or that kind of stuff, or stop using cash, that kind of thing. So your customer service, and they're expecting us to shake down a business owner and force them to give them money back, and it's like, but this is a civil matter that you guys need to deal with civilly. This is not a guy with a gun that needs to handle your life's problems, or you're not a victim of a crime.
Yeah. And you also got to think about, like, what if shit escalates? And I go back to my political thing where we had those cops in Pennsylvania, and I don't know why my lights are so ridiculous right now, just all sorts of issues today. But, with the polls, if you're an off-duty cop getting $45 an hour and you tell me to put a sign out at the end of a line and say, like, nobody else gets in line from that, I'm not doing it. I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to fucking start World War III over a line and voting. Like, it's not my job to be at the voting polls. If you're cursed with that duty for the day, is to make sure nobody gets shot or killed. I'm not telling you have to get out of line, and I'm not telling them. Now listen, it's your business. You want to shut your business down and go home, and nobody can vote because you shut your doors and locked your doors. Go ahead, that's on you. But don't, I'm not gonna tell people that they can't stand in line to vote. I'm not gonna tell anybody anything. It's not my responsibility. That is a civil matter. Like, it's a civil matter. And go ahead.
I deal with it on almost on a daily basis at the Department of Motor Vehicles in my zone, and we get called out there for disturbances. The people refuse to get out of line, but what they have is they only allow like 25 walk-ins, but people show up at 2 a.m. in the morning to get in line, and then they're pissed off because they've been waiting now almost 6 hours, and then they let their 25 walk-ins, and the rest of the people are all for appointments. So all the spaces they have are for appointments, and those have already been taken for months. So people get upset, rightfully so. They're frustrated. So there's just a lack of communication, and they call the cops. Well, the way I deal with it is I show up and I'm like, hey guys, what's up? I just want to let you know I'm not a representative of the Department of Motor Vehicles, and I think they suck because they don't have any proper signage out here to explain to you guys in multiple languages why it doesn't work. So I put them on my side, or I let them know that I feel for them, but I go, but listen, they're not letting you in. They've told you they have a guy with a gun here that's a security guard that said leave. Now they've asked the police to come. So really, I'm here on a trespassing. They have the ability to ask you to leave because they can no longer service you. So you got, and I kind of answer some questions, and I joke around, and I do a little bit of the comedy routine, and I let them know that, hey, I get the same problems if I show up and I need to renew my driver's license. So I'm with you guys. Like, I am one of you, even though I may not be, but and then so I get a lot more, I get a lot more agreement from them, and they move on and stuff. And the same thing goes for what you were saying about the voting. Like, they ask a cop to do it. No, you need a polling place person to come out there because they're the ones that know the policy and can explain it. We're just here to make sure that somebody, like you said, doesn't pull out a gun and start shooting people in line, or that there's not fist fights in line. Keep the peace. But we're not here to enforce the rules that if the state says, or if the supervisor of elections says, hey, we're closing the polls at 7, and that means that the last person to come in is at 7 o'clock. We're not keeping it open for whatever the extension of the line is. Like, I understand what they're trying to do. They're anticipating that
but I also don't give a
that are in
flying
line.
fuck if they want to close the polls down at 2:30 and it's against your rights to vote. Like, I could care less. Like that and it's not me being lazy. It's like, I am not, my job as a law enforcement officer isn't to dictate when some church wants to allow you or not allow you to vote. That is not my job in life, and nor am I going to get a job. And you don't want that to be my job. You don't want me to be the expert of when you can and cannot vote. And I'm not going to read up on all the rules. I'm not going to figure out what all your rights are and when you can early vote and you can't early vote. And you did like, and more so, it's my opinion, right? Because I'm the guy that thinks that I don't think that there should be an early voting. I think that's fucking stupid. I think that you should just get the day off, and they should give you 2 days to vote. You get Monday and you get Tuesday to vote, or maybe you get Sunday and Monday is a national holiday and it's a day off. And that's it. If you can't vote in those 2 days and you don't have an absentee ballot that you have to fill out the application for, then you just don't get to vote. If it's not that important to you, then don't do it. But it should be the most important thing in the world. So that's my opinion. And that means if I'm going to get in line to deal with some bullshit early voting shit, I'm just like, just be like everybody else in the fucking world and show up and stand in line like every other swinging dick out here and do your mail-in ballot. So, and then you might be the kind of guy that's like, go early vote. You have to early vote. You must early vote. So you have two different cops with two different opinions. You don't want you don't want that dictating your line or not lying. You get what you feel what I'm saying here? It's not fair.
No,
I'm not dealing with it at all. And here's another thing. You're getting paid $45 an hour off duty because they're probably not putting an on-duty cop at the polls. I don't know. Are they doing that in Florida? Or it's probably like
no. I mean, we're flat out told to stay the heck away from it in our city because, we've got unions out there, like our unions are out there and they don't want to mix off duty with on duty guys, and that kind of stuff, because we've had a lot of heated problems with our local elections during this early voting period, which I agree with you is too long. It's
nonsense.
Ridiculous.
It's nonsense.
But,
and you want to talk about like being able to corrupt something? If you hold a voting process for a week, 2 weeks straight, like that's a lot of time to fuck around with cheating and burning ballot boxes, which we're right. So going back to the verbal judo thing, as a police officer in that line, I could say civil matter, not going to do it. And then I have a guy like Michael Hendricks that's going to be like, you're a cunt and you're lazy. So what I would do is say, hey, sir, what was your first name? Mike? Can I call you Mike? Can I call you Michael really quick? Mike, I'm Eric. By the way, I know it says Tansey here, but this is Eric to Mike, because right now I'm going to talk to you as a civilian. This is an election. So I'm getting paid $42 an hour to stand here. And my job here is to make sure that nobody gets shot or stabbed and that there's no civil unrest. Voting is an individual, like this is your right to do so. It's a very delicate situation. I'm not even insured to be here because I'm off duty. So like my insurance isn't even really like all that great. So Michael, if I make you upset today by telling you can't be in this line and you reach for something that I portray to be a gun and then I accidentally shoot you, now I have the entire conservative, and brother, I'm conservative. I have all of the conservatives now going to fucking come hunt me down because I killed somebody in the line of a voting precinct, and I'm not even insured. I'm not even being like, I'm paying $42 an hour and that's all I'm getting. I don't get all the benefits in the bid. And now I'm going to lose my gun and my badge for that 10-day period. I'm not going to get paid by, you see what I'm saying, Michael? Like I don't really want to get involved in this kind of situation, Michael. So here's what we're going to do, Bob. They're telling you that you're not going to be able to vote. I'm telling you that that's what they said. They're going to put out the line. I'm not going to do that. But if they put it out and they're going to shut their doors and they're going to lock the doors. Now, listen, you want to stay out here till tomorrow morning and camp out? You want to do it Best Buy, Black Friday style?
Friday.
Do it. Like, go ahead, baby. Go ahead. I'm not going to tell you have to leave, but I'm also not going to tell them that they have to let you stay.
Right.
And if it becomes a legal matter, what we're going to do, Mike, is I will call 911 myself. I will call dispatch and I will have an on-duty officer come out here, supervisor, and we're going to try to work through this thing civilly. But does that make sense, Mike? Like I'm trying to get this through to you without being a dick. And Michael would probably be like, yeah, dude, I get it, man. Like I get it. Or he might be like, bro, that's bullshit. That's fucking stupid. You know, it's stupid. I'd be like, look, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, man. Yeah, it's stupid. But like, again, take it up with your, put it on social media.
You speak to people like they're human beings, and you really break them down, and you tell them like it's not a secret what my thought process is supposed to be, because there's state laws, there's policy and procedure. It's all written down. My brain sometimes gets to interpret it a little differently, but this is the way it is, and I'm going to break it down to you and explain to you when you're going to force me to have to do something, and where my line is. And as long as we as officers understand where that line is and we don't cross it too early or get in front of it and then put this guy in handcuffs when it's like, what has he really done wrong or whatever, then that's what we got to watch.
And I like the voting polls video because a lot of you guys sent it to me, and here's where the cop went wrong, right? So he's putting out this sign that says the line ends here. I wouldn't have touched that sign. That's fucking like, I would never have done that. Listen, you want to put a sign out that says the line ends here? You put the sign out that says the line ends here. I'm not doing it. I'm just not going to do it. Not because I'm lazy. It's just, It's a civil matter, Michael, and I am not getting involved. But he's putting this sign out and people are asking him questions. So what does that mean? Does that mean I can't vote? And he's just like, and not saying anything. Well, not to act is an action. Not to say anything is saying a lot. At that time, if you already gotten your hands wet, you might as well dry them off on that towel. You might as well just say, hey, this is why I'm doing it this way. But he knew he fucked up. I think he knew in his brain, fuck, why? Because he didn't think that it was going to blow up in his face. He thought he was being the nice cop, Michael Hendricks. He thought he was being the nice cop. They were like, hey, look, this is out of control. It takes us 10 minutes of processing them. If you add up 10 minutes for each one of these people in line, we'll be here till midnight. We're volunteers, voting volunteers. We're not even getting paid right now. So like, dude, we've got to put an end to the line. And he was like, oh yeah, I can help out and do that. That's his first mistake. And now that dude's all over social media. Half the country hates him. Half the country doesn't give a shit about him. And what if it would have escalated? That would be a civil war number 2 fire starter easily, right? Like, let's say that cop did get in a verbal confrontation with one of these guys, and one of these guys is like, look, you know what I got? And he's trying to put out like some kind of dumb voter registration card or badge that says he's like a state representative. And he's like, you know what I got? And you're like, bow, 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 put it down. And all of a sudden, he was unarmed. You think that you remember how much the left-wing media or the propaganda media absolutely wanted BLM people to hurt cops and to shoot cops and to stand up for the rights for cops, and the rhetoric, the word of the day, was used to incite people to hate cops during Black Lives Matter. Wait until a conservative gets shot by cops and see how the media has a wet dream about that. They are going to be like, yeah, now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. And now you've got a civil war type scenario, because now you have the right wing base that's typically pro cop now hating the police, and the police backing up their boy because their boy had a right to shoot because you were digging around in your pockets like a weirdo. And, and so, it's this weird line in the sand. And that's how, and I love how people are like, stop with the civil war rhetoric. Stop, it's dangerous rhetoric. No, if you don't think that civil war is possible right now, then that is far more dangerous, because that means you're not talking about how to prevent it. You're not talking about the conversation we're having right now of how to prevent a catastrophic event like that happening. If you're just going to ignore the fact that a civil war is possible, then you're part of the problem. Because I'm telling you right now, it only takes one incident like that, and we have a civil war scenario. And we might not be North versus South, prolonged war, but how many people will die if a police officer shot somebody in a voting line? How many people will die in that 24-hour period?
Yeah, I mean, because you see it in 2020, you see it in 2020 with the start of Minnesota and stuff. And then from there, it sparked through. So you can see where a movement or whatever can grow in cities across the country. And it just has to be, if it's I don't want to say the right, like I believe it, the right ingredients in the right situation. And like what you're saying, if that were to happen, that could be the actual spark that causes more violent. I mean, we saw a lot of freaking violence in 2020 and 2021, but it just tweak that just a little bit. And there's probably puppet masters in the area that are trying to tweak it the right way. And that was a test.
And you want to talk about verbal judo going into this election season? I mean, there's a lot of shit that's going to happen on Tuesday. I mean, there are going to be people who are fighting in the lines. Listen, you might not even be a cop, and you might have to use verbal judo while you're in line to de-escalate something or to talk to somebody. You never know when you're going to use. I mean, verbal jujitsu is I use it every day of my life. I mean, that's why I don't have very much conflict and confrontation, is because I'm very good at my demeanor and I'm very good at talking myself out of things. So as a police officer, when you get called to the polls and you get called to these civil matters, like, I hope that you go in with an empathetic tone and you go in ready to use that verbal jujitsu. And I really do like calling it jujitsu or judo, because in judo there is a move, right? And then there is a counter to that move, and there's a counter to that counter, and there's a counter together. And that's how conversation works. You might raise your voice and you might need to switch very quickly to lowering your voice, but you might need to raise it back up, and then you might need to deflect, and then you might need to, it is it is a form of martial arts. I really do think so. And you should be working on that. Today's show is brought to you by ghostbed.com/Wolfpack Sleep So Good It's Scary. You want to talk about mental health, mental wellness? Well, I think mental health and wellness starts with a good night's sleep. And that's why we're proud to be sponsored and partnered with Ghostbed. Use that promo code Wolfpack, get you sleep so good it's scary. I rant and rave about my Ghostbed pillow. I travel with it. I'm going back to Western North Carolina on Sunday. I'll be taking my Ghostbed pillow with me. I put some pictures up on the Instagrams of my pillow and how gross it was at the end of the my last stint in Western North Carolina. But I also have my massage topper, which is the box is right behind me in here. I love my massage topper. It's got the meditation mode. It's got the heating mode. It's got the lower back, upper back, 1,000 different modes. It's a zero gravity massager. So it uses air and it kind of inflates and deflates. It can kind of pop and crack your back. I'm addicted to it. Head over to ghostbed.com. Use that promo code Wolfpack, 50% off site wide. And they used to be like, well, let's have them show their badge or their badge number. And then that got to be too confusing. They're like, you know what? If they listen to your show, they're probably veterans and they're probably cops. And if they're not, they're pro cops. So we're just going to do 50% across the board for everybody that listens to your show, which is huge, which is absolutely huge. It makes my life a lot easier, right? So head over to ghostbed.com, take advantage of that promotion right now. Get you that 50% off. Christmas is right around the corner. Start saving up. Give them the gift that keeps on giving and giving and giving. And that's the gift of a good night's sleep. And that's you, the pillow, the massage topper, the ghost bed itself with the adjustable base and all of the massage modes and everything. Right now, 0% down, 0% financing, and that's if you have state trooper credit. So everybody can afford it at this point. Head over to ghostbed.com, use that promo code Wolfpack. We also have factormeals.com/Wolfpack50 meal planning to the next level. So whether you want to get lean and mean, you want to freaking like me, dropping fucking 27 pounds in 7 months without using Ozempic. It's because I use the protein heavy 50 grams of protein or more per meal. I do the breakfast and lunch. Breakfast on the go. I do the shakes, and then I have a nice little microwave lunch here. But you can do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can do lunch and dinner. You can do breakfast and dinner. You can do breakfast and lunch. You can kind of form out meal planning for you. And these are fresh, chef prepared, never frozen meals. They're delivered right to your door. So by the time you go to the grocery store, spend all that money on all the extra fuel that you don't need at the grocery store. And by the time you do, your kids are putting stuff in your carts and the gas and all that stuff, it's the same price. It's a wash. So, and this way you don't have to like cook everything and you don't have to parcel everything out. Head over to factormeals.com/Wolfpack50 for 50% off your first week's meals and start meal planning. If you want to get jacked and swole like Papa Swolio over here, DSP Donut Shop Podcast, you can do that protein heavy. You can do the calorie conscious, less than 500 calories. You want to do vegan, vegetarian, you want to go carnivore. They can set it up, your meal plan for you. And they are chef prepared, fresh, never frozen, delivered right to your door. All right. It looks like you have this video up. Do you have the video? Do you want to just play the video really quick if it works? We'll just go through it super quick at this point because we're pretty much done, but let's play the video. Why not? Let's hear his verbal judo.
Fail to comply to what I just said. I want to stay calm. If you fail to comply with what I just said,
put your hands behind your back.
Listen, I don't take orders from you. Listen, you're not touching me.
What? This may be an issue with StreamYard because I recorded it now a couple times and I was having an issue with StreamYard with getting settings in this morning.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha. Well, we'll save that case for another time, but it does sound like some verbal judo was necessary just in that little
very
bit.
Much so.
A little bit. Before we get out of here, Donut Shop Podcast, where can everybody follow you? What do you have next coming up on your podcast?
Working on some actually this weekend. Gonna start scheduling some guests, so I'll put out some information. I do have a Discord, so you can check out my Instagram, Donut Shop Pod, and I have a little link to the Discord. So once I have those episodes scheduled, I'll let you guys know in the Discord and say what's up, and you can maybe give some questions about what you want to hear from these upcoming guests. But looking forward to it. I'm hoping to get a retired Fort Lauderdale police officer that supposedly is just a wizard with stories, has some great stories about what he did in his career in Fort Lauderdale. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then a couple more guests coming up. So we'll do a couple streams like this and then a few in-person interviews, probably in a Dunkin' Donuts.
Good. That's why we love having you on the network now. And this this is this huge conglomerate of podcasts that are all first responder driven style podcasts, and it really is the number one spot. We've got 2 Cops, 1 Donut that specializes in training And so he's got a lot of training videos and stuff like that. We got a Donut Shop podcast, which is shooting the shit with other cops, hearing their stories, dispatchers, hearing those interviews. You've got case breakdowns right here from Failure to Stop. Then you have the Anti-Hero podcast, which is bringing this like kind of thunderous street cop mantra, this bravado of the real street cop, which is almost like this like white belt for life type mentality, which I love. You know, it's like you know, I love the street cops. I'm born and bred a street cop. So I really like the Anti-Hero podcast as well. And then we've got Beyond the Barrel, which is just fabulous interviews with all sorts of different people and tactics and hostage negotiations and training and tactics and things like that. So it's just a great network to be a part of. And then we're doing these live shows. We're going to try to do Police Week. I know I got to get up with you, Donut Shop podcast, and get up with everybody this week and get us tents.
I'm in for sure. It'll be, I'm retiring in 2026. So I need to hit up Police Week, at least one more time. I've done it eight or nine times. It's such a great time. And it's an awesome time to meet up and talk stories and just meet cops from other parts of the country and in other parts of the world. The bobbies are always very popular. They get stripped basically naked of all their gear. The English police officers, and you see guys with different law enforcement badges walking around. It's a good time. You know, we never trade badges. Never trade badges. If anybody from IA is listening, it's there, but sometimes they happen to get lost. You know, those raid chains get broken, and it falls off somewhere in the subway.
You never know. You never know. And then next thing you know, you've got a picture from across the pond of some guy flashing your departmental badge. Pretty crazy.
And then back here behind me on the shelf, I've got a Bobby helmet for some reason.
Weird, dude. I got
off
a Billy
eBay.
Club.
I got it off eBay.
How did an asp get traded for a Billy Club? I don't know, but like it's pretty cool, and I have it. And it is that like English style Billy Club too, which is pretty rad.
Yeah.
The asp batons are stupid. They don't work anyway. So, I like to.
It's a fidget spinner for me on a call. I just pull it out and I just kind of like play with it.
Do you ever like pull it out like this and make it like a telescope?
So that will be in my kit next week. I'll get one for you. I'll do it next week,
bro. When somebody is like, somebody's like super drunk or like just batshit crazy, and they're like, I think he went over there, yeah, and you're like,
I'm gonna get the long eye. Hang on, let me get my telescope out.
Yeah, I do, dude. And they're like, dude, you see him? You're like,
it.
hold on. Oh, it's great. Or you pull it out and you type, you tap it like this. You go, all right.
Yeah. You broke your microphone, but yeah, I'll use it. I'll do the Bob Barker style, you know, where you hold it down low and you just kind of like speak into it. Okay. So, all right, I got some new stuff. I got this girl that I work with, and she looks at me all the time, and she's like, "You're fucking ridiculous, dude. Like, I can't believe the shit you say to these people." And I go, it's not that serious. The job's not that serious. Like, I'm not sitting here doing it on a murder investigation or a family looking over a dead loved one. I'm doing it over some of these civil matters. And I kind of like sneak in a little quip or a little joke. And
yeah, I like
for us.
I like when you're trying to talk to somebody and they're not even a suspect in the case, but you're interviewing from whatever. And you're like, yo, is Ray around there? Like, what Ray do? What he do? What he in trouble for? And you're like, he's wanted for murder. In the face degree. Nothing.
Yeah.
I just want to talk to Ray. He filed a report about a missing laptop. I think I have the laptop, but the serial numbers have been scratched off, and I want to talk to Ray to see if this is his laptop. Is that okay? And they're like, oh, I'm okay. I didn't know, because you know Ray be up into some shit. And I'm like, what kind of shit Ray getting up into? He's like, well, you know, I ain't gonna tell you, I ain't gonna get into it like that, you know. But you know, and you have this beautiful banter, and then you're like, what was your name? You're super funny. What was your name? And she's like, oh, I'm Charisse. And you're like, Charisse, dude, you're my girl, Charisse. I love you.
Yeah.
I love you.
And now you've got a good rapport with that person and a better relationship. She probably wouldn't have given you her name as soon as she saw you getting out of the car, thinking you're just another cop. But now she feels like she can level with you a little bit. And that's how you work the game.
Let me ask you this on the verbal judo side of things. When you can almost, maybe I have ESPN. I don't know, but you know when somebody's not going to give you the name, right?
Yeah.
Like know that you're about to go like, hey, what's your name? And you know before you even ask that this motherfucker's not going to give me his name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? And then you play what my old sergeant on Midnights told me. You play the name game, and you start working this chess game out with them, and then all of a sudden you're like, gotcha. That's your name.
Gotcha. So here's my thing is like, if you know in your head that motherfucker's not going to give you a name, don't ask for his name.
Yeah.
Don't ask for his name. Get his name in a different way. Like, go and start planning in your brain. Like, you don't just because you need his name, you don't need it right now. So you can say, like, when you come up and this might be your suspect, right? And you have a suspect with warrants and you need to know if this guy is your guy or not your guy, but this dude's not going to give you your name because he's your guy. Then you just beat around that bush. You just go like, yo, Poppy, what's going on? Man, shit, dude, call me Poppy. Well, what do you want me to call you? Shit, dude, call me Big Mike, dog. I'm like, all right, cool, Big Mike. Listen, somebody said that you were shoplifting, blah, 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 blah. But now you have Big Mike, and that's probably enough to go back to your car, get on your little report thing, do some search for Big Mike, blah, blah, blah. But like, I don't know. It's like I just feel like sometimes we get so caught up in the name game and trying to get somebody's name that starts like a huge altercation, and there's like 1,000 other ways that if we just critically think our way through it, you can get somebody's name without having to be like, all right, what is your name? No, I have to have your name. Give me your name. What is your name? Like, that seems exhausting.
You look at their tattoos and they've got what is an astrological sign tattooed on your body. And then you start kind of trying to relate to them a little bit and talking to them about tattoos. And it turns out, oh yeah, that's I'm a Leo, bro. Yeah. Oh, you're Leo. Oh, okay, cool. So your birthday's in like July, August. Oh yeah, mine too. Yeah. And you just talk about that kind of stuff. And then now, all right, now we've got Big Mike. We've got a birthday possibly in this. And then you kind of keep talking to them some more. And oh yeah, when I graduated high school, when you graduate, like, oh, 2000. Oh, okay. He graduated in 2000. So he's probably born in like 1982, 81, 83 time, and so now you develop this little chalkboard. And then when you run some of those names, somebody came up with a warrant. They're about 82, 80. All right, perfect. Like, this might be my guy. Oh, now I've got a reason to put him in cuffs or detain him and sit him down and wait for a fingerprint scanner or something like that, and here we are. And we got the name, you just play a little game, play a little chess.
Verbal judo is always something that you should train. You should practice. It's just like any martial art. Once you stop practicing it, when you start using the techniques, you lose it and it goes back. If I go to jujitsu tomorrow and I start muscling grips and I start trying to muscle out of everything, I'm not going to be very successful. I have to go back, use what I've been trained on and use what I've practiced. And those techniques will work. If I go back, if I revert back to my old ways, they're not going to work. And verbal judo, verbal jujitsu, whatever you want to call it, is the same exact way. If you're not practicing, practice it on your kids, man. And honest to God, dude, talking to a lot of suspects like they're the same age as your kid works insanely well.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah. And then I got in my car and they're like, oh, you got in your car? What, you got a car? What car? What car? Girl, what car you got? That's a pretty car. Oh man, that's a nice car. And they're like, yeah, right. You know what I mean? It's just like
Mur 530 said Tansey's urban voice is pretty spot on. So there it is.
I worked in the ghetto. Like there was no white people where I worked. So it's like, dude, I heard it every single day. And inner city folks and trailer park folks are so similar. And so, even though that like one's rednecky and one's like inner city, they still like have like just instead of it being like a jacked up Crown Vic, it's a jacked up Chevy S10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
there's a lot of parallels.
A lot of parallels. And you talk to the trailer park people the same way. You know what I mean? They're like, and then I came out and they're like, and you're like, what happened next? And they're like, oh, you're not even gonna believe it. And you're like, I bet I won't.
Stop.
Tell me. And they love that shit. Like, whereas you try to do that in a middle class, that people are gonna be like, the fuck is wrong with you?
I even do it sometimes where I'm like, hey guys, man, I got a podcast. You would be an interesting interview on my podcast. You got a podcast? Oh wow. And then I just
we never told you that you could be a model.
Yeah. There's another one. I'm a photographer.
Yeah. Has anybody told you that you look beautiful? Now we're getting creepy. Do not put that in your verbal judo. Hey, Donut Chop, you saved this podcast. We got to change the name of it today. We'll just change it to verbal judo. Sorry guys, but we are getting back to just law enforcement content. Let me just go to the chats really fast because I promised you I would. Anybody have any questions for Donut Chop podcast? If you're listening right now, go open up a new tab. Go to Spotify, Podbean, wherever you download your audio podcast, because you have audio too, correct?
Yeah, I do it on audio, Spotify.
Go and leave this guy a 5-star rating and review. You have to do that right now. Guys, you cannot make the iTunes list or the Spotify trending list without a review and ratings. So if you want to support the network, Fox Media Group, I need you to go to Donut Shop Podcast. I need you to go to Two Cops, One Donut. I need you to go to Anti-Hero Podcast. I need you to go Beyond the Barrel. I need you to go to these podcasts, leave them a 5-star rating and review, and drop Fox Media Company in there so that we know that we are getting the best out of our network together, that we know that this is as a team, that this is working out together. And then we cross promote each other. Right. So I want you guys to be just as big of fans as Donut Shop Podcast as you are with Failure to Stop, because we are all traveling together. We're all going to be at Police Week together. We're all going to be doing these live shows at these different bars together. And so if you want to be a part of our group, of our club, the Fox Media Group with all these podcasts, that's how you can be a part of the team, is going, leaving these 5 stars, rating and reviews, and then heading over to YouTube and subscribing to Donut Shop Podcast. It doesn't do him any good to come in here and sit and save my show today, because
it's a lovely time though.
It is fun. It is fun. It's not as fun when we don't have a video, but listen, we'll give Josh some slack. At least he was here, right? He was here. He did show up. It's more than the government can say.
And he's got a beautiful hat on.
And he did wear a good hat. We will be in Western North Carolina shooting a documentary. I'll be with Mike the Cop's son all week in Western North Carolina. Dude, I'm having light issues. I just don't know what's going on in the studio today. We're going to get it all fixed up. But I'll be in Western North Carolina Sunday. I will be all over Western North Carolina. If you find yourself out that way and you want to send me an Instagram message, I will come find you. Would love to come find you. Oh my gosh. Now shit's popping up on my computer. What the world is going on? Just having all sorts of issues. So anyway, thank you guys for hanging out. Go leave the 5-star rating and reviews for FAWKES News and for Donut Shop Podcast. Get you one of those $35 hats. It's not quite a $40 hat, but I'll tell you, it wears like a $40 hat. I'm not even
shipping's crazy. I'm paying $10 to ship these hats because I don't want them to get all crushed.
I know.
Stuff. So that's where it's coming
box, in. I knew that was when you sent it in that box. I was like, damn, he really fucking put it in a really nice box. And then and then he puts like a little handwritten note and everything in there, which is always cool to get a note and a patch and all that and everything. So but no, I'm not even kidding. The hat itself is like, honestly, like such a classy hat.
Kind of like those. There's the brand Melon that's out right now, and those are $70 hats. So you've got these Melon ones, but my bill is a little bit bigger. Theirs are like kids. They're like children's hats almost, but it's that kind of meshy, like water resistant style. It's nice. Good for sweat.
Yeah, I mean that hat definitely looks like you could golf with it. Or pickleball.
I was going for it. You know, that's Florida.
Are you a golfer?
We do a lot of golfing.
Are you a golfer?
I dabble. I have some old sticks that are probably 20 years old that I used in high school, but I still use them. So, but we do fundraisers once in a while, golf tournaments. I'll jump in those and have a good time.
Oh, so there we go. That makes sense with that.
I just got the high fade. Armory Knight asked if I got hair. No, I used to shave the head.
You know who you look like? You kind of look like Dennis from Street Cop Training sometimes.
Oh yeah, okay. All right.
I mean, if you do duck lips, he does duck lips a lot. Yep, that's what he does. He does that like all of his photos. He's like,
no, that's not me. That's not. I'll stick to the smile. Got that done during Shell Shock weekend from First Do Tattoos, the firefighter tattoo artist that was a sponsor of the event. I've always wanted this as a photographer to tell you to smile when I take the shot, and then he did it. He did it that weekend, so it's only a 2-week-old tattoo, but I've wanted it for over a year now. And
did he tell you that's gonna? Is that gonna fade?
Yeah, I mean, I already have one on the inside of my finger, so I know how like hands work. So I'm totally cool with it. There was a lot of tattoo artists that were scared to get into the hands, and I was like, dude, I don't care. I want it done. I want the pain. I want the art. Like, let's go.
Now, does your apartment care about that?
Technically they want us covering tattoos. It's a fad that they're going through with making us wear sleeves. Like, I don't have like massive amounts. I've got like little ones, right? But we're supposed to cover them up. So I've joked around with the IA guys about wearing a finger condom.
You should,
just one finger.
Yeah, and you could just say you wrote that with a pen. But
Yeah, yeah. I was bored. I need to go do some traffic stops. And
if my
I wrote it.
arms weren't so fucked up, I would have gotten a tattoo from him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
shell shop.
Your arms were unfortunately covered with
Look at him
fungus.
now, dude. Now it's just a scar.
Wow. Did it really scar, or is it
Yeah, I
just
mean,
like
see
your
it?
skin's kind of coming back? Yeah, I see it.
I mean, I don't
I
know
didn't know
how
if it
long
was
it's
just
going to be
irritation.
there, but yeah, I don't know how
Right.
long it's going to be there, but
Dude,
yeah.
this guy was a not a highway or state trooper. He was a trooper, wearing hoodies and stuff to save us and protect us from his poison sumac. But it was gangrenous when he'd take his hoodie off, and it,
Dude,
and you were
people
just in so much pain.
yeah, and people just don't realize how much pain I was in, and then like you're
Yeah.
trying to go up there on stage and like rile a crowd up
funny
and
or-
be
yeah, yeah,
funny
yeah.
and try to do comedy and just like
You screaming in the microphone was legitimately you letting out pain. It had nothing to do with getting people rallied. You were
Yeah.
probably literally screaming in pain and writhing in pain. So
was terrible.
you were,
and I was kind of
a-
moody, you know what I mean? Like, and I was trying
Yeah.
not to be moody, but like, it's so hard not to be like, cause I wasn't getting any sleep because of the pain.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to not be moody, but like, and I'm also trying to be like friendly and flirty, but like, I also really just generally didn't want to talk to anybody because
Get the fuck away from me.
like, yeah. And then people kept touching me, which was making me like, and they
Yeah.
didn't mean to, right? Cause they don't know. Cause I had a hoodie on, but like people were touching me a lot and it was just like, oh, stop fucking touching me. And then like people wanted me to do shit. And it was like just little stuff like, hey, can you move that chair? And I'm like, yeah, I can. But do you know how bad that fucking hurts for me to pick up that chair right now? Like this
Yeah.
motion at all was just getting like
we were
nobody was
moving
like, helping.
we were moving stages and setting things up and everything like that, and it's like just leave him alone. But
Just
as
leave me
as Will says, fuck around and find out. Yeah, you had the tampon Timmy mantra going on. You had your period.
I did, dude. And it was bad. And it was like people were missing flights that I ended up having to like pay for. And then like I had to pay for an extra night in Airbnb because somebody came early. And it was just like all these things were like mounting up and I had like
Yeah.
these arms. And so it was like, you know, I told Vanessa, I was like, you know, she was our publicist and trying to hire her on. And I hope she doesn't hold it against me, but like, dude, like what, like there were some times where I was like, I just want, and I took it all out on her too. I'd be like,
Yeah.
all I want is a fucking tablecloth.
That's
like,
exactly what I was
all I
going to bring up
fucking
because I was
want
standing there for it.
is a goddamn tablecloth, and I can't get the fucking like, dude. That was my melting point. You know what I mean? It was like,
Yeah, you and Tyler got there from Anti-Hero, and I was like, we might get a fist fight. I don't know.
No.
Tyler was I know, but Tyler was definitely anti-heroing you back. Like he was sticking it right back to you. Like, bro,
Yeah.
shut your mouth. I'm not listening to you. Get up on
Yeah.
there, funny man, and make him laugh.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was his attitude. He was like, "Shut up, funny man. Like,
Yeah,
you're not really mad. You're not gonna do shit." But yeah, dude, I was hot, man, over that fucking tablecloth.
know.
It was the only
Yeah.
thing I asked for.
it's all I wanted.
I'm one
It's all I wanted
microphone
on
and
my-
a tablecloth, and it took us 12 hours to get both of those things. I could have went out and bought them in that time frame, but
Yeah,
but I think it would have been. And the thing is, I would have driven to go get one. Except driving is the worst. Like holding onto the
Oh,
steering wheel and turning
yeah.
and having your shirt just ripping your blisters, and the blisters are like dripping down your armpit because your arms are way up here. So like I didn't want to drive anywhere. I didn't want to go
Oh my
anywhere,
God.
and oh god, yeah, so bad. But anyway.
So bad.
You guys have heard enough. We've hung out long enough. Thank you so much for saving tonight's show. Appreciate it. Donut Shop Podcast, everybody from myself, Ted Leg Media, Failure to Stop, everybody here at the Fox Media Group. Go and follow everyone. And we'll have a Fox News out later today too. Josh and I will. So Jeremy says $20 for Thanksgiving. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's Thanksgiving for the people in Western North Carolina. And we really
Yeah.
appreciate that because we're actually going to try to we'll have to Airbnb it as well. So it is getting pricey. I think we're up to like 14 people that we're feeding right now for Thanksgiving. So it's probably going to be one of those things where we go up the day before Thanksgiving, you know, have an Airbnb, do some cooking at the Airbnb, then deliver hot food. So yeah, every dollar helps. So thank you.
Cool.
Thank you so much for that. Appreciate all you guys. All right, guys. Mahalo. See you guys. Take us out of here, Joshua.